I don't think it's important generally. For me specifically, yes, it is important. I'd rather be up there connecting with people and saying something that might leave them thinking, but through the Trojan horse of comedy. It's definitely a preference of my style. George Carlin is on the wall this week. Like, let's be serious. A bummy comedian or someone who doesn't really have a writing style or just someone who's just trying to shock for the sake of shocking might write some offensive crap that isn't funny. To be fair, let's just say stand-up comedy is a subcategory also, but it is kind of the OG granddaddy. Another weekly segment we do every week here on the podcast called Poll Results. Every Monday on my Instagram social media feed, or my story feed to be exact, and on the community tab on YouTube, which I will admit I have been lax the last couple weeks. I haven't really put them up on YouTube, and I'm still, I don't know. It's hit or miss, right? But I guess I got to be consistent. So I will say, you know what? Every Monday on the community tab on YouTube and on my Instagram story feed, I put up an interactive poll question. We leave it up there for you guys to vote on, and then we discuss the results here in the studio. I don't obviously have Dante here to do the back and forth with this week, so it'll just be my opinion, which you guys get enough of, so I'll make it brief. But this week's poll question was, is it important for comedians to address social issues as part of their material? And the options were yes, it adds depth to the material. No, comedy is light and entertaining. Depends on the comedian's style and depends on how heavy the subject. And before we get to the results, I personally, I don't think it's important. You know what I mean? Like, the phrasing of this question for me, I don't think it's important generally. For me specifically, yes, it is important. I would rather be up there talking about quote unquote real stuff. You know what I mean? Like, at least more relatable things. That doesn't mean, I just released a joke the other day called Dick Guitar, where I talk about how, jamming on my dick like a guitar, and then how women do that with their, with their fishy parts. I still make the friggin' goofy jokes, you know what I mean? But I have a preference. I would rather be up there connecting with people and saying something that might leave them thinking, but through the Trojan horse of comedy, because I'm not naive enough to think I'm up there. Because if I wanted to do that, I'd be a politician or whatever. The whole point of it is I'm up there trying to be funny. I think I could make some points that I would like to make funny. And that is a great challenge in and of itself. And that is like an evolutionary thing, you know what I mean? But overall, I don't think you could say that it is absolutely important. But in terms of the options, I wouldn't say no, comedy is light and entertaining. I would be like, okay, it depends on the comedian's style. Like I just stated, it's definitely a preference of my style. I'd like George Carlin is on the wall this week. Let's be serious. And I think he's a little. I apologize, Mr. Carlin. I think he's a little crooked, but now is it fixed? I think it's worse. R.I.P. Mr. Carlin. But those are my guys. Patrice, Carlin, those guys, the thinkers. So once again, this week's poll question was, is it important for comedians to address social issues as part of their material? The options were yes, it adds depth to the material. No, comedy is light and entertaining. Depends on the comedian's style and depends on how heavy the subject. And the results are 19% on yes, 6% on no, 75% on depends on the style, 0 for heavy on the subject. Love that got 0, because nothing should be off the table. A good comedian can take a heavy subject and make it palatable to a wide audience. A bummy comedian or someone who doesn't really have a writing style or just someone who's just trying to shock for the sake of shocking might write some offensive crap that isn't funny. But again, that's subjective also. I think you got to kind of look at, is there a lot of people laughing at this or no? And that's every comedian's gauge right there. But yeah, 75% on depends on the comedian's style. Thank you to my audience for actually being savvy on comedy. I appreciate that. 19% said yes, it adds depth. But again, that's a preference. So I get it. But do you think that should be like a rule of comedy? That's what I'm really interested in engaging. I wonder how many of those 19% And then also the 6% that said no. Who are you to say no also? You know what I mean? Again, I know it's your personal preference, but who are you to say no? Nobody should be talking about serious stuff. Comedy is lighthearted and entertaining only. Comedy is a range of things. And does that contradict what I say when I speak about social media and all that? No. I just think we should be separating and categorizing these things properly. I don't think everything is comedy. I think people that get up on stage and tell jokes into a microphone to a live audience, that to me is comedy. Everything else is subcategories. Or you know what? Let's even to be fair, let's just say stand-up comedy is a subcategory also. But it is kind of the OG granddaddy. All right. So all this other stuff just seems like it's clout chasing to me. And that's why maybe I don't resonate with it that much. I don't really see the long-term value in just continuing to pump out meaningless garbage. Here's a bunch of funny videos. Now let me do the green screen thing where I'm narrating over the video. Like, are you serious? I get it. You build an audience with it. Now you got a huge audience doing that. It's just weird to me. What is that? I never got in comedy for that. You know what I mean? And that's where I always feel like I'd be betraying myself to just jump into that boat and be like, oh, but then for the sake of your career and all that stuff, like just get the followers, just do what you need to do. Like that type of thinking, do what you need to do. That's what gets people put in cages. Anyways, that's this week's poll question.
This is Black Zeus, the podcast season 5.
I love y'all. Thank you for supporting. Once again, the Patreon is launched. If you do want to watch my comedy special right now, you can do so. It's only $10 and you can get it as part of the subscription fee. So like if you subscribe to the Patreon, you can get it that way, or you can just buy it outright for $10 that way. Once again, for transparency, I will release the comedy special for free on the YouTube once we hit 1,000 subscribers. So you can also just hit the subscriber button and just do that. You can support that way, whichever way you want to support. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that. I don't necessarily use it the way everybody else does, but I'm there if you want to find me. AKA Black Zeus is the person to find on those platforms.